We are taking. We decided this is like a $90,000 project, which we decided to take on ourselves. So air conditioning, a big part of an air conditioning is just hanging ducts, having the right capacity. So, and then so I took a $90,000 job and I'm bringing in for about 35, 40. It's a big savings.
Much work.
Now I'm going into the air conditioning business. Well, right. No, I'm really unfortunately, it's not.
What's coming up? I changed it.
Then maybe we'll end before the summer with some very, very simple practical things about talking to the kids about some strategy you've had to talk to the kids. I think I've been promising that for a couple of years already. So, and it's hard for me to, I'm not a practical person. My wife is always trying to help me with that, and it's taking a long time. So, Kol Yakar Rasa Eino, we're talking about Rabbi Akiva v'Chaveira. Chazal say about Rabbi Akiva that he saw things that Moshe, him and his time, Rabbi Shimon, they saw things that Moshe Rabbeinu himself didn't see. And that word Yakar is what we were discussing, because Chazal have revealed to us through the tzaddikim, the Ari HaKadosh, and other tzaddikim, that Rabbi Akiva was the reappearance in our lives of Yosef HaTzadik, Akiva ben Yosef. And that Rabbi Akiva came to the world to fix something that went wrong. It really goes back to Bereshis and Adam Arishan. But the whole kilkel of Pagam HaBris that started with Adam Arishan and then later on with the Mabul and so on, but by Yosef HaTzadik, that even though he was misgaber, but nevertheless there was a Pagam, his Madrega, the 10 tipin, the 10 drops, and the 10 Haruge Malchus. Rabbi Akiva is the Rosh of the 10 Haruge Malchus, and we spoke about how the Indian of Rabbi Akiva is to be Masak and this Pagam. The Pagam Habris of Yosef HaTzadik and Yosef HaTzadik's Madrega, to fix that, and obviously to be a very, very big part of the repair of this kilkel of bris and shechva zera levatala that's preventing the coming of Mashiach Tzidkeinu. And so we learned that the Ari HaKadosh revealed that the life of Rabbi Akiva, 40 years, the 3 parts of his life, the 40 years when he was Nam Haaretz, the 40 years when he was learning, the 40 years when he was teaching, correspond to the 40 measures of the mikveh, the say of the mikveh, because the Indian of Rabbi Akiva was to transform the Kerry, the zera, the seed that was spilled, the Kerry into Yakar. We're trying to understand what that means, Kerry into Yakar. What is Yakras? What is the meaning of Yakar? So, in order to understand that, I'm just reviewing for a minute. In order to understand that, we referred to another mysterious remez of this number Yakar, which is 310. The Chazal that is really the siyum of Torah Shabbat Peh. The Chazal that tells us that the tachlis of La'asalavo, the schar of the tzaddikim, from the pasuk Lahanchil Oihavai Yesh. Substance. Yesh is substance, reality, that which is true, that which is real. And we learned that Yesh is the gematria Yakar, 310. Chazal say, Lahanchil Oihavai Yesh, that Hashem has Shai Olamas, there are 310 worlds of schar, of reward that's waiting for the tzaddikim and Adam Haba. So we all are familiar with that. And that Yakar, which is the opposite of Kerry, corresponds to the Shin Yud, to the Shai Olamas. And that is the true Yesh, when you're connected to this, which is Yakar, which is truly Yakar. That's the Yesh. And the schar of that is in Adam Haba. where the person eats his peiros and he returns to Gan Eden. And we spoke about from the Talmidim of the Vilna Gaon, one of the Talmidim, Rabbi Zechariah, Talmud of the Talmidim of the Gra, Rabbi Zechariah Chaver, and we spoke about how the schar that's promised in the world to come of Gan Eden is Davka schar of peiros. It's now Shavuos. Shavuos is when they done al peiros ha'ilon, peiros, fruit, and how Rabbi Zechariah Chaver explains that there's a very big difference between Ilanos, Peiros, and Yerakos. Yerek is the letters what? Yakar, Kerry, right? Yerek, Kerry. Peiros, Rabbi Zechariah explains that Peiros don't grow immediately. You have to be patient. You have to wait. You have to give the Peiros time. You have to be taken care of, and the person is very tempted to grab from the tree, but Halacha says you have to wait, and the schar for waiting and being patient with the apple tree, with the orange tree, the schar is that you have a tree that produces for dairy for generations and generations. It keeps on going. Because the schar is infinite. The reward. Masha'enu came when it comes to vegetables. A vegetable, yerek, Kerry, same letters as the word rake, empty. Which means it's gone. Yeah, you plant it, you eat it, it's finished. There's nothing left of it. It doesn't have. The keren is the thing itself, and you eat it completely. Mashenkin peris, keren kemis is loyal how. Because as we learn, there are two tchumim, two domains of our existence. Chazal say hayom la'asoson, u'mochel lekabel schar. This is a world where you don't eat the fruit. Sometimes there's a little bit like Chazal say every morning. Sometimes you could have a little bit of something of a taste of the fruit already in this world. But for the most part, the ikka is an item habits. Hayom is lasosim. This is a world of working hard, of tending to the garden, and with Hashem's help, we work hard, the Torah mitzvahs and so on, and we're patient, and we don't try to grab the pleasures and the schar of this world prematurely, our reward. So then, when a person's patient and he waits, then Hashem has the reward of mochel lekabel schar. Mochel lekabel schar means the shai oilemus, which means that you had a choice between the emptiness, the rake of hevel v'rik, of the yerek, of grabbing what you wanted to have pleasure right now, this taiva that you have, or l'chakot, l'hamtin, to wait, and be patient, and to do what you're supposed to do, and to believe that the schar will come la'asad lava. There'll be tastes of it in this world, but the schar will come la'asad lava, and that's also lahanchel ahaviyesh, v'yitzorei sehem amalei, and we learn that really is the avodah of Yosef HaTzadik. The avodah of Yosef HaTzadik was that the koach which the Torah uses by him, the word of lid apeg, and ipuk means to hold back. Means you feel like grabbing something, you feel like doing this because it's going to give you immediate pleasure, but that's called yerek, that's called a vegetable. And the pleasure is gone in a moment, and there's nothing left. There's no fruits, there's no tree, there's nothing. That's hevel v'rik. That's a life of hevel v'rik. And Yosef HaTzadik is the koach that a Jew has to overcome that, and to be patient, and to hold on, and to believe that there's something that's more yakar, there's something that's more valuable that I'm working towards, and that's all we try to tell our kids. Hold off and wait, because there's something that's more chashuv later on. Don't be impatient. Give it some time, and you'll be able to get to it. We learned that this impatience is the problem from the very beginning of time, which Adam Rishon was impatient, and it happened again by Maimon Hasina, by Shavuos. Following, not on Shavuos itself, but it happened again. And what happened was the Chet HaEgel. The Chet HaEgel. And the impatience of Adam Rishon regarding which Chazal bring the pasuk, and this is what we ended with last week, of Adam Yakar Bal Yalin. Nimshal Kebehemas Nid. That man does not lie down with his glory, with his Yakar, that Adam Rishon didn't even make it through the first day. And here's Madreg, we're not criticizing him, and it's not for us, but Adam Rishon, the Yakar Bal Yolim, the Yakar that Hashem gave him, the Chashivas, the covet that Hashem gave him to live a life of Chashivas, Adam Rishon didn't make it through Shabbos, didn't make it to Shabbos. Erev Shabbos. He was impatient, he grabbed from the tree. He wanted to have that pleasure. Again, that's a very, whatever that was, it was a big Indian, but he wanted that enough, and he didn't want to wait. And he just had to wait through Shabbos. And he couldn't wait. And as a result of that, Chazal say, Adam, the pasuk in Tehillim, Adam b'yikar bali, and the same thing repeated itself. That we on a Madrega, Ani Amarti Elohim Atem, when he came to Shuas, Har Sinai, Ani Amarti Elohim Atem, Uvnei Elyon Kolchem, Achein has the pasuk again, Ka'adam Temusa. I lifted you up to a place of Yakrut, of Yakar, of the greatest covet. Elohim Atem, Uvnei Elyon Kolchem. And you couldn't wait. And the same thing happened with the Mapilim with Eretz Yisrael. They couldn't wait to come. They were supposed to wait. Hashem said, "You can't come to Eretz Yisrael now, you guys. You gotta wait. It's not going to work." V'ilo Titzla, and the Mapilim. Every single kilkel has come in such a way. It's in that way of which is really Shech v'Zer L'Vatal. Hashem Yisbarach said, "Plant a garden. It's fruit. It's not yerek. It's not vegetables. You don't get the lettuce the next day, or a week later you have a cucumber. That's not how it works. L'kach and litapek, and to be Yosef HaTzadik. Don't grab. Wait. And this is repeated itself. That man wants to have the shy or lamas. He wants to have everything right now. And he does, and as a result of that, he forfeits the true yesh, the true yakar of living a life of Dveikus B'Hashem. So now let's understand how this all connects to Rebbe Kiva. Let's to just finish a little bit here what we can do right now today. This one of the Chevra mentioned, and this is a talk. Another, I don't want to do this again. It's another 2-3 weeks on how this connects to Tefillin. How it connects to Tefillin and it connects to Purim, because the whole meaning of Purim is we see the word Yakar repeating itself in the Megillas Esther a number of times, where we don't have anywhere else in Tanakh. Like in Megillas Esther, we see such a thing. Yakar l'ba'alei, Yehudim Hayisa, Yehudim Hayisa, Yakar. So we see that it's repeating the word Yakar is repeating itself over and over in Megillas Esther. I mentioned to the Chav who brought this up that we see that the Chazal tells us that Rebbe Kiva was Darish at Rosh, the Adam was falling asleep, and Rebbe Kiva Darshan, he says that my Rosa Esther Malka, how did she rule over 127 kingdoms? Because she's the Basbita, the great granddaughter of Sarimenu, who lived to 127 years. We see the need of Rebbe Kiva. Rebbe Kiva's Kol Yakar Rosa, Rebbe Kiva's darshaning on the Indian of Megillas Esther to keep Am Yisrael awake when they're falling asleep, giving into the taivas of Rome. There's a lot. And Tefillin Marei Alma, the Tefillin of Hashem, and man's Tefillin. There's a lot to talk about. Maybe that's a whole separate couple of conversations about how this connects. What this has to do with Tefillin, because Tefillin are called Yakar. Because it says like Yehudim Hayisa, we from Yakar, and Chazal say Yakar. The Gemara says the Megillah is Tefillin. So Tefillin are called Yakar also. Well, let's just try to follow through what we were talking about. I was thinking of a sentence that we said in davening yesterday that really sums all of this up. We say in davening, Ein ke'erkecha Hashem Elokeinu. What does the word erech mean? What does it mean, erech? Value, worth. Ein ke'erkecha Hashem Elokeinu. I was thinking about this in davening the whole time. This passage, these words, Ein ke'erkecha Hashem Elokeinu, which means that all of us are saying this to Hashem every single Shabbos. We say, and it must be that we mean it. First, you have to understand what it means, and then once you understand what it means, believe what we're saying. Ein ke'erkecha Hashem Elokeinu means Ein davar yakar kamocha. There is nothing that's worth more to me than you. Ein ke'erkecha Hashem Elokeinu. There is nothing that has the erech. Ein ke'erkecha Hashem Elokeinu means that when we say those words, Ein ke'erkecha means that my Yiddishkeit, my emunah, my connection to HaKadosh Baruch Hu is that which is most yakar valuable to me, worth more than anything to me in my life. That means that because I can make an extra $1,000 on the deal, the Hashem Mishpat says I shouldn't, because this is against halacha, or it's not derech eretz, or it's questionable behavior, and I could make this extra money. So I stop and I say, okay, I could make $1,000 on this deal. Probably that's small nowadays. I can make $100,000 on this deal, but it's doing something which is not Choshen Mishpadik, I can make $100,000 on this deal, or I could turn away from it, and even though it's hard, I could use the money. I could turn away from it, and I will instead stay with the Shulchan Aruch. That decision depends on a simple equation, or an evaluation. If you really mean what you're saying, and there is nothing that is valuable to me, there's nothing that's worth as much to me as Hashem Elokeinu, that means Ein Ke'erka means $100,000 means $100 million. It means Ein Ke'erka Hashem Elokeinu. There is nothing that is as Yakar to me as my Yiddishkeit. The one who taught us that is Yosef HaTzadik. Now we can't understand the nisayon that he had with the wife of Potiphar, but somehow Yosef HaTzadik held on to that reality of Ein Ke'erka Hashem Elokeinu, and he held on, as a result of that, he held on to his kavod, because that's the kavod of a person. He held on to his kavod, to his self-respect, to his kavod, and he held on to the Yakrus that HaKadosh Baruch Hu gave him. Adam Rishon didn't. Adam Rishon lost it. We lost it by Har Sinai. We had a little bit, and we lost it. The ability to hold on to what's Yakar, and to be able to look at the wife of Potiphar who's coming after you and to say, or that picture on the computer, or that money, whatever it is that's tempting you at that moment, and to turn away, and Vayonas V'yetechutz and say, Ein Ke'erka Hashem Elokeinu, V'olam hazeh, Ve'in Zolasa, Chai Olam Haba. To be able to say, Ein Ke'erka, this is the most beautiful woman that ever lived. Ein Ke'erka Hashem Elokeinu. That's hard. To be able to turn away from the thing on the street, or whatever it is, and to say, Ein Ke'erka Hashem Elokeinu. Zelo Shaveli. This taiva that I feel like indulging in, that my body is telling me, is Zelo Shaveh. Because Ein Ke'erka Hashem Elokeinu. So whenever you and I make a decision to listen to the guf instead of the neshama, whether it's for $1 million, or it's for the girl, or it's for the taiva of the moment, that taiva of Kerry, of Shech V'Zera, whenever we give into that, what we're essentially saying is, Masha Yakar Li, what's more valuable to me is this moment of pleasure. This taiva of the guf. Again, whether it's the money or it's the girl, it's this moment that is more, this moment I'm going to grab this yerek, this vegetable. What's the vegetable? $1 million. I already made it from 100,000 to, now we're up to $1 million. So this, we're bidding. This yerek, this miserable leaf, this vegetable, ze yoter yakarli. This moment of the guf is yoter yakarli, is more valuable to me than Hashem Elokeinu. That's really what it means. And if I make the right choice, which is Yosef HaTzadik's choice, if I make the right choice, then I'm saying, Ein Ke'erka Hashem Elokeinu. This is not worth giving up Hashem. It's not worth it to me. I made a cheshbon. The yerek is calling to me, the vegetable, this very attractive vegetable, the money, the girl, whatever. This vegetable is calling to me and saying, take this now, have this now, enjoy this now. It's gewaldig, you can have such honor from it. And Hashem is saying, listen, wait, I have Shai Olamas waiting for you. 310, Gematria, Yakar. I'm telling you, I have Masha Yakar waiting for you. You have a choice. You could be Chas V'Shalom, you could be spill Kerry, Chalila, a Mikra, and then what? You can end up feeling, Hashem says, I'm telling you right now, you could go for the Kerry instead of the Yakar. You can go for the vegetable, for the Yerek, instead of the Peiros. But I'm telling you right now, the second that you're finished with that, you're going to feel what? Rake. Empty. All of us know that. You're going to feel absolutely empty. That you traded in Ein Ke'erka Hashem Elokeinu. He traded in. A couple of Chaver sent me the sweetest message. I got a few already today, I think last night, that because I was talking yesterday from the Lab Rebbe, the Maisa with the diamonds. They said the Rebbe never got tired of giving out the dollars to Jews because somebody asked him, and he said, I just repeated what I said yesterday morning, and he said, you don't get tired when you're counting diamonds. And it turned out that the soldiers that were bringing back the hostages that were freed said we're bringing. What?
We have
the diamonds in our hands. We're bringing back the diamonds. I can't tell you. I had such enough from that. I can't stop thinking about it. We have the diamonds, and then somebody just sent me now a little while ago. Somebody sent me the way the New York Times reported this. That's the Maisa. What did it say? So the Ki'ilu. No, it's a chaval al machablim, you know, like people were killed. Scores of Palestinians were killed for 4 hostages. Scores of Palestinians were killed for 4 hostages. That's the equation they wanted to set up. The Rishoyim, the Mamish Rishoyim. That's the equation. That's the taste they wanted to leave people with. 4 hostages. But they killed scores of Palestinians, and the operation, the hospital, and it's the apartment. They're already making such a way. So when a person knows what it means, a diamond, and that's why the soldier. I don't know who that soldier is. He has such an insight to say that Yahalomim, that we have diamonds. That what it means. When a person understands Kami Yakar Yehudi, what the Yakris is of a Yid. That's what I was talking about yesterday. How valuable, how expensive a Jew is there. The erech of a Jew. That's why I had the parasha of B'chukaisai is the whole parasha of erechim, right? The valuation of what it means, the value of a Jew. There was a Maisa. You ever hear of Reb Hillel Zeitlin? Reb Hillel Zeitlin. Wow. He was an Ish Pella. He was an Ish Pella, Mamish, an Ish Pella. I can't even start talking about it. If you have a computer and you press which is on site, and you get a lot of stuff. He was killed Akidish Hashem wearing his talis and tefillin. He came out. He came out wearing his talis and tefillin. He was by the war. He was killed Akidish Hashem. He was an Eli, a genius of geniuses, from a very Chashav Chabad family, and he became one of the biggest writers in Yiddish and in Hebrew in Europe at the beginning of the 20th century. He was one of the foremost writers, and he went away from Torah Mitzvahs for a while. He left for a while. He was with all those writers, with Chernichovsky and the rest of them, and then he did tshuva, and he came back, and he was a Yush Talmid Chacham, and he came back, and he died on Kiddush Hashem. So Bill Zeitlin was invited to the opening of to the big opening of Hebrew University. So he was sitting next to another writer, Eliezer Steinman. Well, I have a few of his things, Steinman. So he wrote about Chassidus also. Steinman. There's a Chashuv writer. So the two of them were sitting there the other days, Bill Zeitlin and Steinman were sitting together. And I read in an article about Bill Zeitlin that Bill Zeitlin leaned over to Steinman, and it was this whole Maimon, it was a big thing. And he leaned over and he said, look over there. He said to Steinman, look over there. There's Rav Kook is sitting over there. He says, and Rav Kook, we both have tremendous respect for Rav Kook. And then he turned over there and he said, look over there. Over there is Bialik is sitting over there. Chanach Bialik, the great writer Bialik, is sitting there. And then he pointed on the side, and he said, "Look over there is sitting Chaim Weitzman. Is over there. So this was the days." And he said, "And over there is Lord Balfour sitting there." And he said, "If Chimilsa Zutrasi, is this a small thing, like the oilum that's here at this thing?" And then Bill Zeitlin says he put his head up and he closed his eyes and a tear came out and he said in Yiddish to Steinman, "All this is Gunish Vet." compared to dancing one Rikud in the Breslau Shtibel in Warsaw on Zelna Street. That's what he said. It's Gorish. All of this doesn't compare to one Rikud. One Rikud in the Breslau Shtibel in Warsaw. None of it. It's that musik of ein ke'erkecha Hashem Elokeinu, of stopping and measuring what's important in your life. And you have that taiva of the guf. You have that taiva for that moment, and not to give into that, but to be able to say that my neshama is more valuable to me than my guf. Then this taiva, that's the tikkun of the pagam of Yosef HaTzadik on his level. And here's where Rabbi Akiva comes in. And there's all that we're trying to talk to our children about, all the conversations we're going to have coming up about how to talk to them. It's all the same yesod. The yesod that we're talking to each of the kids is that we want our children, this is what's so hard, and I cry, it's very hard for me not to cry when I talk about it. And now my grandchildren thinking about this day and night, that we want our children to have a Yiddishkeit, shekol kach yakar lahem, that their Yiddishkeit should be so dear to them that will give them the strength not to give in to what the street says is important, right? Isn't that it? We want our children, we want that our children's Yiddishkeit should be so yakar, that because all of our kids are going to be faced with stuff. And they're already you have teenagers, they're already a lot of stuff. And every single second that they have to make that decision. To be able to say, Ein ke'erkecha Hashem Elokeinu. In other words, this is very tempting. This is very, very exciting. It's very tempting. A lot of my friends are doing this. And they're telling me how much fun this is, and this is all exciting. And we're all davening that please Hashem help that my kid at that moment should be able to say, Ein ke'erkecha Hashem Elokeinu. It's not worth it to me. How do we get that into our kids? The kid never saw it. We never saw Hashem. The kid never saw Hashem. We at least saw an older generation. They barely saw. A lot of the people that they saw are already many. It's been filtered and watered down a lot. I was zeichet to see those who are older here. We saw, and as it gets less and less, so our children are looking at us. So that we give our children a Yiddishkeit that will somehow communicate to them, it's worth waiting for. Wait until you're married. It's worth waiting for. Wait until you're married. Don't give into this now. You're going to feel empty if you do. Yeah, but my friends, your friends are idiots. Listen to me. Don't give into this because you're going to feel empty. No, my friends didn't say they feel empty. I know you. You're a very special young man. If you give into this, you're going to feel. If you go for the yerek, for the vegetable, it's going to be reik, shum davar. You're not going to feel good about yourself. You're going to feel empty. You know why? Why? Because a Jew doesn't feel good about giving up his neshama for his guf, giving up the payers of Olam Haba for a miserable little vegetable. A Jew doesn't feel good doing that. And you're not going to feel good about that. To go for the Kerry, I'm sorry to talk that way, but to go for the filth, the Kerry instead of what's Yakar, and to go for the Kerry instead of the Shai Lamas. So here, Rabbi Akiva, those first 40 years of his life, well, we don't know much about them. We do know, from whatever Chazal told us, that he was not an elevated person. It's hard for us to believe that, but it's true. There's no question that he had in him unbelievable yakrus. But those first 40 years were the Chazal tells us that he was Namaritz. And the Namaritz in the days of the Gemara meant a person that was not somebody that's a Bekavadika person. Namaritz. So we could say that on his level, those 40 years that Rabbi Akiva went through was a time of, again, we don't to say about him, but it was a time where he was not in a place of Enke Hashem L'Kein, whatever that means. We as Kerry, but he was not in a place of Enke Hashem L'Kein, and he was not using his life to plant trees to bear fruit in the Gan Eden of the next world. He was planting vegetables for the first 40 years of his life, and from what we know, it was a time of Hevel Varik in the life of Rabbi Akiva, and that Rabbi Akiva later on, for the 40 years of the mikveh that he traveled in, the 40 Seyah, Rabbi Akiva changed the Kerry into Yakar. He was able to change the Kerry into Yakar, and through that he was able to bring a tikkun to the pagam of Yosef HaTzadik, and that somehow, as a result of what he did, he was able to be Mamed, he was able to have Talmidim, that he himself with his Talmidim were able to reveal in the world the Or HaYakar, the most valuable light of the Zohar Kodesh. Pnimius HaTorah. Rabbi Akiva, Moshe Rabbeinu saw a vision of Rabbi Akiva, it was the crowns of the letters. What does it mean, a crown? A crown means covered. A kesef ha-covered, l'chayilam. A crown means covered. A crown means that which is yakar. A crown is a symbol of that which is most important. That Rabbi Akiva was able to lift himself up through his long life from a place of being at the bottom to when he came back with 24,000 Talmidim, he was able to lift himself up from that place of Kerry to Yakar, and he was able to tie together these crowns on the Isis of the Torah, which means the secrets, the deeper secrets of Torah, which means the Shayar Lamas, which means the Hashem, the Or that Hashem has waiting for the Tzaddikim in Olam Haba. And that's what we were talking about, the sugya of how Rabbi Akiva left the world. So I mentioned this a little bit last week. That Rabbi Akiva said his whole life he was waiting for this. And his students could understand even now, and he was saying Kriya Shema to Miyachid Yichud Hashem, which is the meaning of film, and Rabbi Akiva, so again a much bigger sugya, and Rabbi Akiva went out like Hillel Zeitlin with his talis and film, and he was burned al Kiddush Hashem, and he left the world, the Echad. So, I mentioned last week the pasuk that David Melech said, "Yakar be'inei Hashem, hamavso lachasida." In the end, the greatest challenge in a person's life to what is it that he truly values is that moment of being faced with a decision: are you prepared to die for this? Are you willing to give up your life? Because there's nothing that's more valuable to a healthy person. I mean, if a person's not healthy, doesn't want to live, but a healthy person, there's nothing that's more valuable to you than your life. Are you prepared to give up your life for what you believe in? In other words, you're facing the Malach HaMavis. Are you prepared to say, "Ein ke'ekecha Hashem Elokeinu b'olam hazeh"? This whole world is going this way. This whole world. That's what it means to die al Kiddush Hashem. A person's given a choice to give up his Yiddishkeit, or to die, to give up his Yiddishkeit, to give up his life, or to give up his life, to hold on to Yiddishkeit, or to give up his life. So that decision, David Melech described as Yakar be'enei Hashem hamavsa lachasida. There is no greater statement of Ein ke'erkach Hashem Elokeinu b'olam hazeh than that decision that Rabbi Akiva made and the way that he was killed al Kiddush Hashem. And through that, he brought into the world the light of Pnimius HaTorah, and not only Pnimius HaTorah, but Kula Aliba de Rabbi Akiva, is that we know that really the whole Torah Shal Peh is the light of Rabbi Akiva. All of his Talmidim and all of his Limudim is, and that's Rabbi Akiva says, Ashrechi Yisrael, Ashrechi Yisrael, Lifnei mi at metar. Mi is the 50th gate of Bina. Kol Yakar, Kol is 50. Yakar Rosa Eino. There's some Kol Yakar that thinks that Moshe Rabbeinu wasn't shown. Rabbi Akiva was actually the same. Lifnei mi is before Shavuos. Rabbi Akiva, Talmidim of Rabbi Kiva, the reason the Talmidim of Rabbi Kiva died is because like no good covered zebazet. They didn't value each other. That's right. No good covered zebazet. It's hard for us to understand. Rabbi Kiva's Talmidim did not see the worth and the value of each other the way they should have. Because the whole inyan of Rabbi Kiva is Yakar. Is to see the value of Hashem. To see the value of Torah. To see the value of another Jew. And lifnei mi atem etar mi metar veschma vichim shuv shamayim. Ma mikveh metar said to me. Rabbi Kiva says Afakash Baruch metar Yisrael. It's Rabbi Kiva. And that's how he left the world, like a mikveh of fire. So I was there last night to have some of the boys over. We had a Malava Malka, Hashem, and I can't tell you how proud I am of the boys. We have such beautiful bachar. The kinds of questions that we're asking, like Avodah, Amish, beautiful. And I shared with them a story from Motzei Shabbos. But I said once at a bar mitzvah. I remember. So he's already. It's already. We speak maybe 12, 13 years ago. The bar mitzvah, one of the bar mitzvahs, one of the boys, and I felt like talking to the guys about it last night a little bit. So I'll share with you that some of you might remember it. I heard this from Yerushalmi. Who heard it himself from Rabbi Yankel Galinsky. You might have heard of Rabbi Yankel Galinsky, ever? Rabbi Yankel Galinsky used to come to America sometimes. He was a Maggid. He was a big Talmud Chacham. He was around this tall. And I'm exaggerating. He was really like this. He was very little, but a big tzaddik. And he used to come around to America. I met him a few times, and I heard him speak a few times. And I said, so, he was a Geshmak Yid. He was a Talmud of Nevardik. You know, that's the strongest Musa yeshiva. They had a whole network of yeshivas before the Muhammad. And they were shechted. Very few survived. The Steipel was also a Nevardik Talmud. It was very strong Musa, big tzaddik, and Moed Hashem. Real, authentic Bali Musa. You know? And this Rabbi Yankel Galinsky was one of the chevra from one of the Nevardik yeshivas. I don't remember which one. He was from one of the Nevardik yeshivas. Anyway, some of them were saved because they were able to escape from Vilna, and they went through Siberia, and they made their way to Japan, and they got out. As you know, the way many, not so many, but the way Rosh Yeshiva and Talmid Chacham, that they were saved in that way. And he was one of those. My Rebbe Abdov was also part of that Olam, and many others. The Torah was really saved from that. Anyway, Siberia is a big place, and they were on a train. Rabbi Yankel Galinsky was on a train with a group of Bachrim that were escaping. They were running for their lives to get out of Russia. Russia was a choice between staying with the communists or waiting for the Nazis. Neither was a good choice, and they were racing to get out. And the whole story of the visas with Japan, which is very so they were racing to get out, and they were on this train. Rabbi Yankel said they were on this train, and it was Friday. It was getting dark. The train had been delayed, and it was going to be Shabbos, and the Bachrim were there. It was in the middle of Siberia, and the Bachrim were there, and they were talking about what should we do. So those that said, what do you mean we should do? It's because we're going to get, we can't stick around. What are we going to do in the middle of nowhere? And we have to get to the border. We have to get over the border. We got to get out of here. So you have to run. There are others, the more from, I guess. The Frummers were saying we're not going to be saved by being Mechal Shabbos. I don't know what they're arguing about Shabbos. We can get there's another. I don't know if you catch another train over there. How does that work? So they were arguing about this, and then then Rabbi Yankel said that the guys said, well, like, why are we arguing? And the next car on that train was the Shabina Rav. The Shabina Rav was the God of Adar. In Halacha, the Shabina Rav was Abdul Berish Weidenfeld was a big Chassidish Yid, a huge Talmud Chacham, a guy in Ireland. The Shabina Rav was on the train. So they said, so So Rabbi Yankel says, so what are we arguing here? But Shema Baratzel, let's go ask the Shibini Rav what to do. So they go to the next car and they look for the Shibini Rav. He's there with some other, 2 or 3 other people there. And Shibini Rav, they see that Shibini Rav is packing his things. He's getting ready to go because they're coming to the next stop. So they said, Rabbi, what should we do? It's Shabbos. So Shibini Rav says, I'm not staying on the train. I'm getting off. I'm not going to stay on the train. Yeah, I'm not passing that you can't go, but I'm not staying on the train. But they all said, Rabbi, if you're getting off the train, we're with you. So all the guys got off together with Shibini Rav. And that's it. They got off the station. They come to the station. You never see the stations in Russia, but in the middle of Siberia. We're not talking about Midtown Manhattan, you understand? So they get off over there. It's Glonish mit Glonish. Nothing. And it's time for Kabbalah Shabbos. So Rabbi Yankel was about Tefillah, and they had a minyan, and over there in the freezing cold forest in Siberia, so they're standing there huddled together, and the davening Kabbalah Shabbos, and they danced. They had a rikud there, and it was a whole nice. It's not for now, but it was a whole nice how they made it through Shabbos, and it worked out. They were safe. After they finished davening Kabbalah Shabbos, so the Shibini Rav was very moved by the fact that these guys, that they came with him and that they were Moshe Nefesh. And it was a big Ein Kerkach over there that happened, and he was very moved by it. And he said he shared with the guys. This is what this Mishloach told me. He shared with the guys that Shibini Rav took out from his pocket a little piece of paper. And he said, I want to tell you something. He said that while we were in Vilna, I got a letter from the Belzer Rebbe, from the Baruch Lebelzer. I got a letter from Baruch Lebelzer. How it got to me, and I got this letter, and I opened it up, and it was a little piece of paper, and all it said on it was this, the pasuk that we say from Mizmor LeDavid, that we say by Kabbalah Shabbos. Kol Hashem chaytzev lahavas eish. The voice of Hashem is like fire. Kol Hashem yochel midbar. The voice of Hashem causes the desert to shake and to tremble. The voice of Hashem. Yochel Hashem midbar kadosh. The voice of Hashem causes the midbar kadosh, the desert. The Midbar Kodesh, the desert of Kodesh, to shake and to tremble when the voice of Hashem comes. Kol Hashem yichai hayolos v'yeches sof yoros. The voice of Hashem is so powerful, it penetrates even into the forests. This yeches sof yoros. Uvheicholo kulei omer kavod. And that's all I got. I just got this piece of paper from the Belzer Rebbe with this, and I didn't know what this was. I put it in my pocket, and then we get off, and we're davening by the forest. And by Kabbalah Shabbos, we say these words, the Kol Hashem, the voice of Hashem. We're in a place that there was never, ever, anybody that ever said over here a word of Torah in this place. Adam Rishon never, like there's an expression in Yiddish, Adam Rishon never made Nashri Yotzo over here. That's an expression I heard it from my father. That's a way of saying there was never a Jew in this place. So there was never anybody that ever came to this Arois Gavafindige place in the middle of Siberia. And here we are, 15 of us are screaming out, Kol Hashem, Yachal Midbar. So he says the word Yachil doesn't just mean to tremble. It's like we say, it says Yachel Yisrael El Hashem. It means to hope for. So he says Kol Hashem. He says Yachel Midbar, that the Midbar was waiting to hear for thousands of years since creation. This desert, this forest, Yichol El, was waiting to hear the voice of Hashem. All the years was waiting to hear the voice of Hashem, and now we came to this place, and this miserable place was zeicher to hear the voice of Hashem coming here, even in this place. So I now know why I got this note from the Belzer Rebbe, and I want to thank him. And then when they survived together, so Rabbi Yankel Glincy said that years went by. In the meantime, the Shibini Rav went to Yerushalayim, and he's yeshiva there and everything. And he said that we went our way, the guys. And he said eventually, he was in America, father, went to different places. Eventually, he was in Eretz Yisrael, Rabbi Yankel. And when he came to Yerushalayim, him and a friend of his, one of the guys, decided, let's go to the Shibin Rav, to give shalom, to give Shibin Rav. We had this experience with him. That Kabbalah Shabbos, we spent the Shabbos together. Let's go give shalom to Shibin Rav. So they went into, there was no oilam there by Shibin Rav, a lot of people in the room. They came to the Shibin Rav, and Shibin Rav looked at them, and he knew that he knew them, and was looking at Rabbi Yankel and the other guy, and then Rabbi Yankel started to scream out, Kol Hashem, Yechayla, Yolai. He started davening Kabbalah Shabbos. And the Shibin Rav says, Yankel, it's you. And the other one, whatever his name was, and he brought them close. And he said, your mom, you brought back my life. You gave us chiyas, that Kabbalah Shabbos, in the middle of nowhere. That that place was waiting for the Kol Hashem, and we were able to daven together Kabbalah Shabbos. He said that was the reception they got from the Shibin Rav. So the Sfar HaKadoshim say, this is by way of Hachana when it comes to Shavuos. The Sfar HaKadoshim say that this is what I was telling the boys last night. I'm sorry I keep you an extra minute or two, but I told the boys last night the greatest compliment that Hashem ever paid to Am Yisrael is probably the pasuk in Yirmiyah where he says, Zacharti la chesed nurayach, ahavas kol lasayach, lechtech acherai b'midbar eretz le'zhua. It's the biggest compliment. Hashem said, I remember Zacharti chesed nurayach. Hashem says to us, the kindness of when you were young, remember? We were both escaping Mitzrayim, all of us together. You remember we were leaving Mitzrayim? Chesed nurayach, ahavas kol lasayach, the love of when we were married. Lechtech acherai b'midbar. You followed me into a wilderness. Eretz le'zhua. Into a land that was empty, desolate. I was thinking about this. I told the guys last night. That's a choice that all of us have to make in life. The choice of when sometimes it comes where you're feeling rake. You feel amish empty. And the goof and the whole world is screaming out and saying, take me. As the wife of Potiphar, I'm here. I'm here, take me. And you feel that screaming out to you. And to be able to hear the voice of Hashem, Yechola Ayolos, Yechasof Ya'aros, to hear the voice of Hashem going through the midbar, going through the forest, and being able to pick up that sound of Hashem, to be able to say, you know what? We're married. I'm not going to do this. Ein ke'erkech Hashem. Hashem, I'm married to you. Ein ke'erkech Hashem. There's nothing that's worth more to me than you. I'm not giving you up for this. Even though I don't feel anything right now, I feel like a midbar. I feel like a desert. I feel empty like a desert rake. And this promise that you have of Shai Olamas, I don't know. What's these Shai Olamas? 310 worlds. I don't know what they are. After I die, I don't know what that's going to be like after I die. I never saw it. I don't know anybody that came back to tell me about it. I don't know what it is. All I know is right now, I feel like doing this Aveira. I feel empty. I don't feel like learning. I don't feel like davening. I haven't been doing so well lately with my Yiddishkeit. I don't feel, and Eshes Potiphar is screaming, and on the other hand, I feel empty. So I don't know what to do. So that's the choice of Lechtech Acherai B'Midbar. When you feel like a desert, Hashem says, you still followed me, even though you felt like a desert. It's the biggest compliment that Hashem pays to a Jew. You followed me when you felt like a desert, when you felt rake. Why? What gave you the koiches to follow me when you didn't feel anything? The answer is Ahavas Kol Lasayach, because deep inside of you, you believe that Ein Ke'erkech Hashem L'kein. That there is nothing that's worth it. It's just not worth it. There's nothing that's as valuable to me as being a Jew. That's, at the end, that's what it was. Hashem says, and that was true when we left Mitzrayim, and it's just as true, even more so now. When they left Mitzrayim, they saw the Esabakas, they saw a lot of stuff Hashem did. And so they went after him, and still Hashem says, because he didn't know what the future would hold. We don't know anything. And we didn't see 10 Makkahs. And we didn't see any Kriyas Yamsuf. And not only that, we saw worse than what happened to the Jews in Mitzrayim, our parents and grandparents, worse. And still, Afal Pichein, we're still here. And so Hashem Shabbat says that These are my diamonds. Our job is to somehow impart that to our children. That feeling of even if you don't feel right now that learning is going so great, but you don't feel right now that this is the strongest time of your Yiddishkeit. So you feel like dying. Sometimes you feel to give up that taiva, to give up the thing on the computer, to give up the girl, to give up the whatever it is. So you feel, and Hashem says, Yakar beini Hashem amabsel chasidav. There are different ways of dying, not just by Romans being burned alive. There's plenty of chevra that they're being tortured by the Romans right now. Any bacher that walks on the street in the summer is being tortured by the Romans. No? Not just bacher. But everybody is being to be tortured and to die for Hashem's sake. To give up what we want for Hashem's sake. That's Yakar ben Hashem. Hamavsul Chasidav. Hashem says, these are my diamonds, these are my Chasidim. The ones who die for me, they're my Chasidim. The ones who they keep stuff there, but when it comes to Eshes Patifera, they right away, Eshes Patifera says, come over here, and they go right away and they run to Eshes Patifera. Hashem says, I love them too, but these are not my Chasidim. Hashem's diamonds are the ones who follow him into the desert. Eretz lo yizru, and it's not clear, and you don't feel, and hafal piche, and you hold on. It's Yakar beini Hashem, ein davar kazeh. Hamavsul chasidim. Those are Hashem's diamonds. So if some Jews were able to go and to rescue some of our diamonds in the middle of such a place where they were able to go in, there was never one of the soldiers was killed. Right? I saw. My wife showed me a picture of a beautiful boy. You saw? Come Yakar, how valuable one Jew is to take out and to rescue, to help. So certainly, if the soldiers were willing to do that, and Hashem said that I went to Mitzrayim, Hashem went to rescue on a rescue mission. Hashem came to Mitzrayim to take us out. Hashem didn't send soldiers. Hashem went himself. So Hashem can do that. Hashem can do that. He can do whatever he wants. So we daven to Hashem's Bach that we should be zeicher to see. All of us are hostages. Some are in Gaza, some are hostages at work, some are hostages in their typhus, whatever it is. Hashem doesn't have to endanger soldiers to go in to rescue us. Hashem Yisbach can rescue us himself. He doesn't need anybody to go. Hashem Yisbach can do it himself. So she was Hashem to see Gavaldig Yeshua and the Sus of Rabbi Kiva and the Sus of Yosef HaTzadik, the Sus of all the Tzadikim who are no longer here, and the Sus of the Tzadikim who are here. Hashem Yisbach should bring us to this should be the last Shavuos that we spent over here. We should be Zeichim, Mr. Hashem. We should be Zeichim for P'dui Hashem Yeshuv and bless our meetings. Amen.